I'm Kiesha. I'm from Pennsylvania. We're at Bronco driver supercell in Tennessee. This is my 5th year here. It has grown immensely. I remember my first year here though, and we were down at the Tally-Ho, and even then I was like, wow, this is the biggest Bronco event I've ever been to. I'd never been to a Bronco event, I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't know this world existed, but just driving into town, I was like, a Bronco, a Bronco, a Bronco, and now it's just like, holy moly, we are like tenfold. My stepdad was obsessed with Broncos. Now he's not ever been to a Bronco event. He's also never been exposed to any of this. He just loved Broncos. We probably had about 40 some of them in the yard. We had one early Bronco on the road. He raced an early Bronco, and then we had a full size of 79 that my mom daily drove, and then I later started wheeling. She had a 78 that she bought, and that was our daily driver my entire childhood. So that's kind of how I've been exposed to Broncos, and I always wanted one. And then when I turned 18, I was like, well, I definitely can't afford to buy one. So I was like, well, I'll pick one out of the yard here, and I paid 1,500 bucks, and I had to do a complete frame-off restoration on it, but it turned out exactly the way that I was hoping. My mom and my stepdad, both mechanics. I grew up in the garage. I was always around it, and that 79 that I used to wheel, that was the first thing I had actually ever touched. My stepdad gave it to me and said, yeah, you can wheel it when we go off-road, but you have to know how to fix it. We needed to pull the tank out of it. It was leaking. So that was the first thing I ever worked on. And then I started working on my own car when I was 16 and I bought it. So I kind of learned as I went there, but my Bronco, I learned a lot of stuff on. I didn't know what I was doing. It was, however I took something apart, try to remember how it went back together. And then I also learned all the bodywork because I had never done any of that either. So welding, bodywork, everything. This is my learning. This whole thing right here. I'm gonna repaint it, and that was my plan over the winter. Just life happened and I didn't get to any of it because it's been painted for about 7 years now. She has her imperfections, and again, because I learned on it, it wasn't done, you know, professionally. So I've got some problems with it that I gotta fix, and that's okay because it makes it mine. You know, all the things that are wrong with it it was for me, so it was great. But now I get to go back a second time and kind of make it better this time. So this time I want to spray it myself. She's gonna be the same color because this is my staple here. It's a 73, right? It's a 73 frame, and the only thing I used from the original body actually that I bought off my stepdad was the grill on the front, and then the frame and all of the stuff on the bottom end. But the body itself, I bought another body from the windshield back. As you can see, it's an earlier year. I got a lot of used parts from my stepdad from all of our other Broncos that were in the yard. It's got a 302. I didn't build that either. My stepdad's father actually built it for me. So mild cam in it, nothing wild, but I love the way that it sounds. It's actually got Tom's lift on it. I bought it used off of some other guy, but it works great. I got my boggers on it. They're 33s. This is my second set. I just hit 14,000 miles on my Bronco in the 7 years that I've had it on the road. You don't get many miles out of these bad boys. And they're loud and I love them. It's got a 3-speed on the column. I won't ever change it. I do have to rebuild the steering column right now. It's an original. I didn't put I didn't put a heating system back in it because I was like, Pennsylvania, not ever taking it out in the winter time because of the salt. But then I was like, well, it kind of gets cold other times of the year, and I kind of wish I had heat in it. So that's like the only different thing I'm gonna do to it, rebuild the steering column on it. And then I have these really sweet set of wheels that are gonna go on it that have hearts in them. They're from the 70s. They look like these, but these little thingies in there are hearts. So I'm really excited about those because it took me a really long time to find a set of those. So it's kind of pieced together just like majority of Broncos. And you know, that's actually the best part about an early Bronco is there's not a single one that's the same. And they all have a unique story behind them, and that's what I love about them. I like to make it to as many events as I can. It's hard. I do work multiple nursing jobs. While traveling is expensive, taking off work is expensive. So I try to make it as far as I can with different events. But I love going to the different events because they're different. There's different people at them. It's a different experience. And I went out west last year, which was a totally different experience. And like the people, what you do at it. I love getting to meet the people that I've interacted with online for so long and seeing new faces and putting faces to the social medias. So it's really fun. Primarily I post on Instagram. It's Kiesha_Lynn, so KIESHA_LYNN. And then I have Facebook too, and I do post on there, but majority of my posts end up going to Instagram. If you look up hot pink Bronco, usually you can find me, but now that there's kind of more Broncos in the world, it's tucked in there a little bit. But you can still find me. I'm the only hot pink early Bronco.